Welcome back to Prof E Plays. I'm Prof E, and here we are. This is session number 9, I believe it is, in my Shadowdark campaign. At this point, where we are in terms of the Runehammer uh, process, right? So the idea of the Runehammer structure, right, that I'm using here. Um, right now we're in the, I guess, kind of in some sense the middle of the beginning, right? So the middle of the beginning, you're doing lots of pairings, which stopping here, stopping here, stopping here, that kind of thing, trying to gather up evidence, that kind of thing. So that is the stage that we're in. So as part of that, our two main characters, the wizard Varos and his companion fighter Sariel, both elves, stopped by a castle, the castle overseen by the Lord Riarden, and they found out that a tentacled um, statue had been uncovered in a nearby cave, just a little bit to the southeast of this particular castle. So they went to investigate that cave. They found that there were like magical properties to this um, statue. Unfortunately, a bit of outrageously bad luck. Varos, the wizard, leader of their small troop, tripped, knocked over the statue, which in turn triggered a trap, a very nasty trap that killed him. Despite their best efforts, Varos was unable to revive himself, and Sariel is not a healer. And despite his best efforts, was unable to stabilize his friend, who is now dead. This leaves then Sariel with the body of Varos and a torch that is quickly flickering to nothing. It'll only last for a couple more rounds. There's not a whole lot that Sariel can do, for he needs to get out of there. So I'm going to say that Sariel does have enough time, right, to kind of take whatever valuables Varos happened to be carrying. There's not much. I mean, basically, Varos was the one holding the money, so that is what he's going to take. He's going to grab, like, he had some rope or that kind of thing, right? And I think he's not just going to leave his friend behind. He can't do that. So he's going to pick up his friend. Fortunately, um, Cyril is fairly strong. He has a strength of 15. So I'm going to say, yeah, he can manage to like amongst all of his other junk. Like he manages to grab um Varos's body and like, throw it across his back, right, and make his way out. Now, as they leave the room that has the um as he's getting ready to leave the room that has the statue in it, I think he is going to see something. Because I think it is time for us to trigger the end of the beginning, and that is a villain reveal. After all, main character just died. You should probably see who the villain is, right? So I think it makes sense to me, right, given the situation. Here's what's going to happen. Okay. So Cyril manages, right, to get Varos up on his back, and then virtually immediately in front of him, right, um, here's, right, a figure, a very ghostly figure, a figure of a, I'm going to say of a wizard. This wizard's name, I don't know. You're gonna have to pull something. So first, I guess first question would be, so this wizard, I guess what's the race? The race. So I'm gonna look. I'm gonna roll that up first. Right, so this wizard's race is going to be, or species or ancestry, whatever they call it. This one calls it ancestry. Right, so I'm gonna roll that. Oh wait, I do want that too, because that's my countdown for the thing. Um so it's a human. So it's a human wizard um that is there, right? Who appears and I need a name. I need a name. I need a name. Okay, so let's look at my names table. And he says, I am the wizard 14 Leos. How dare you disturb my slumber? Oh, well, this is great. Sariel's not in a mood for a chat. But what we know is that there's this wizard, Leos, and he needs to get out of here. He really does. So I think he is just going to try to leave. Um, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to look up real quick. Because it would be terrible if anything would die. Okay. Uh, okay. All right. So all of the ghost attacks, none of them are really distance attacks. So I'm going to say that it is okay, right, for Sariel to just get out. I think that that is his plan right now. So Sariel is just going to leave as quickly as he can. Um, Now, I think it makes sense the ghost might possibly get one attack in on him, which I really don't want to do because he could just die. You know what? I don't have to do it because I like the drama of him not just dying. I prefer that he's going to have to avenge the death of his friend Varos. So let's go ahead and say that that doesn't happen. He does manage to actually leave. As he exits this cave, his torch sputters out, thereby forcing him to light another torch as he carries his friend back several miles, actually. I think that once he's out here, I mean, right now the cave is in the mountains, is where they are. This is a place, so he probably wouldn't have much that he could use. Because no, he doesn't really have a lot of great stuff here for carrying people, right? So I think, yeah, he's just gonna have. So he has, torch in one hand, and then other hand, kind of having um Varos draped over his shoulder, and he's just gonna make his way back right to the castle. Um, so I think to get back to the castle, um, Riarden says, "Oh well, I'm sorry for your loss, and you are certainly welcome to stay here for the night as you think about what you need to do next." All right. So now, in terms of what's happening in the structure of the um, storyline. The way this works in the Runehammer structure, which you can watch, I have a video about this and suggesting possibilities of using this for role playing. This is really just this series is my experiment with this. So the beginning ends by the reveal of the villain. Right, so the reveal of the villain, and in this case, we found out the villain is this ghost, the ghost of a wizard, um, named Leos. Okay, so the next stage then is what we call the middle. So you have the beginning. The beginning starts with an attack of some kind, right? And then you get these weird mysteries start showing up, and that leads you to basically have to run a bunch of errands. The next thing that happens is that at the end of those errands, the villain gets revealed. I think that I'm going to count Leos as the villain. So then, in the middle stage is typified really by two things. Right? One being what Runehammer calls lock and key. Right, so that is, we discover that there is something specific that we need to do in order to take the villain down. So that's one thing. The other thing is to lock and key. The next thing would be, oh, what does he call it? Oh, it's tit for tat, right? So that means there will be attacks back and forth. So we're going to do something try to push back against what the villain is doing. They are going to do something to try to push back against what we are doing. So at this point, kind of what we know. I want to get a sense of the landscape here in this campaign. Um, I don't know what the motivation for Leos is. What I do know is what Leos's actions have been. So Leos's actions. So Leos has the capability of driving horses insane, which that seems to follow with like ghost possession or something like that. You might be able to do that kind of thing, or even just frightening the things so they panic. Because we've seen multiple horses. We've only seen one, but we've also heard about a different horse that went insane. So we've got that. So that's one thing. We also have the ability to control or simulate or something a will-o-wisp to tempt people away. We also have here that this ghost is in some way attached to um, this tentacled statue. Okay. Now, the statue getting knocked over cannot be what released the ghost because the ghost was already active. Okay. So I think that the ghost was already doing stuff. Now, in terms of kind of the political landscape, we know there are a lot of people here who don't get along with each other. It's not clear to me, though, that this ghost is going to be working for or with anybody in particular. Okay, so I'm not particularly worried about that. Now, I do kind of need to know more, kind of what is the history of this particular um, person, of this wizard, the wizard Leos, and also how can we defeat him? So that's the big things. We need to find out how can we defeat the Wizard Leos? What are the steps we need to do to get things in place to make that happen? As we are doing those things, Leos is going to be trying to counter what we are doing, using whatever forces he happens to have at his disposal. Okay. So that is the way this all is going to work. All right. So at this point, I don't think it's going to be a very long session. Um, I had that more with the last one, but I need to plan, right, what is the next step. So we are in session 9 right now. So I'm gonna just make some notes. We got the reveal of Leos, reveal of the ghost Leos, who was a human wizard. Motives unclear. Motives are just a big question mark. And I don't think here I don't have like a motive table or anything like that here. Now that I've figured out, because Sandbox Generator, I think they might have one somewhere in one of the NPC lists. Uh, but no, its motives are unclear at this point. So what I need, the elements that I need at this point is really like it's that lock and key. So what is the key that is going to allow us to defeat Leos? So I think we need some information about that. So I think actually that's maybe what the next session is going to be. So or actually, you know what? We have enough time. Maybe we'll do a little research now. So our goal here is so our next step is to research what is the key that is going to allow us to defeat Leos, and it is probably going to be something tied to his life and what he did. Right. So I have an idea, and it's kind of a weird idea, but I think it makes sense given the context. I think that the unholy blade of the Archmage that Sariel happens to have with him, right, actually was something that was created by, or used by, or in some way connected to Leos. This seems like a clear thing. I'm not going to roll for it because narratively this makes too much sense. And that's one thing, just as kind of a solo role playing tip, oh my nose is really itchy. Um, is that as you move out of the beginning toward the end, it makes sense to start decreasing the amount of stuff you put random. Otherwise, you're going to never end up resolving things, right? So I'm kind of hitting that point where I'm going to want to start moving toward a resolution. So I want to start taking all of these random pieces and start putting them together. So how is it these things can be put together is really the question. So it wasn't just random. I mean, it obviously was in terms of you know, metaverse. But in universe, it wasn't totally random that this particular blade was given to Sariel. Instead, it was, in some sense, destiny that this was given to him. Because that is going to be part of, right, key that we're going to need to defeat him. So I think that what we're going to do, Sariel gets back, and he's going to be consulting with the Lord uh, Riarden. So the question is this. So I think the things that Sariel needs now. One, I think it would be good if Sariel had some kind of companion, like someone who could accompany him. So we have a couple possibilities. Now, I don't like the idea of him having somebody who is accompanying him who is more powerful than he is. Right. So I want to bring in somebody that is also first level. So this is not going to be, oh, I'm going to run to Ophelia, and Ophelia is going to be the going to, in effect, take charge because I don't want this to be what happens. I instead want him to have right, somebody else right, who steps in to that role. So that is one thing. So I think that he wants a companion. So that is one thing we need. So we need to know. Okay, so what we have so far, part of the key is the sword, or the blade of the Archmage. I think he's going to need a companion. That's something we're going to have to go get. And I think he's going to need some other artifact, something that is going to allow him, despite the fact that he is not particularly strong, right, but to give him an advantage that will allow him then fight what is, I mean, if we just follow the ghost statistics, it's a level 6 creature. Add to that, they have some magical abilities, apparently, right? So this is going to be a tough fight at the very least. So I think that he needs to have, if not maybe multiple companions, is what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to go out and start recruiting a bunch of lower level companions so that we can have a fair fight of some kind, right? So I think that's something that's going to happen. We're also going to have to find some kind of magical artifacts. I suspect what we're going to end up doing is he's going to go and do some research and find that there's something very specific to Leos. So I think he needs a specific artifact. Um, that was important Julius in some way. And this is going to allow him, right, to put the ghost to rest in some significant way. So I think that is going to be very helpful there. So what we need to do, and how does he discover this? Um, well, I think the companion thing is obvious to him because he is a lone fighter. He just saw what happened. This is not a good situation. So I think that when he comes back to Riarden, right, he shares the story. So the question, okay, so now let's get into some questions here as we're trying to do research. Does Riarden, right, have some information, or at least nobody that has some information? So does Riarden know about the Wizard Leos? That's the question. I don't know. And the answer is no, but. So this would be a great case of no, he doesn't actually. Uh, but, and the but is this. Um, I know he has a couple nobles and some commoners in jail, and I love the idea that one of them has some idea, right? So I think that's what's going to happen. And so that is what's going on. We've got these, uh, so we have these people in jail here. So one of them has some sense of you know something about Leos. So I'm going to look up a little bit more about this. I'm going to go ahead and open up the sandbox generator, NBC generator, and see what I can get. So let's look that up. This is something that I know I did not print. Okay, so my NPC generator. So who is it that knows something about it? So it's somebody whose name is 10, that's Hank 15. So it is Hank Quinn. We make notes about Hank Quinn. So Hank Quinn, tell me about Hank Quinn's occupation. So occupation is a D100 roll, right? So Hank Quinn was a 57, a mason. Okay, so he must have done something that's not well loved. Okay, so Hank Quinn Mason. And what else do we know about him? So let's roll an 8 and a 10, and that's going to tell us something about his appearance. So he has dirty clothes. That makes sense. He's in prison. And also tattoos. Okay. And his personality. Well, let's find out what his personality is like here. Personality is one. He's kind of aggressive. Okay, that also might result in him ending up in prison. And also, favorite thing. What does he love? Nine, a music instrument. Okay, fine. And does he have any hobbies? Let's find out. 17, sewing. So, sure, sure. And how about the dream? Does he have a goal? Right, starting a family. Oh, well, that's sad. Okay. And also, let's see, does he have a secret or not? He does not have a secret. And relationship with his peers. Well, I mean, he 15, he's largely ignored. Okay. So I think I'm getting an image here. Where's okay, so this is somebody that he would like to start a family, but he's largely ignored, so he has acted out at times. I think hoping to get attention of some kind. Right. So this is what leads to him being fairly aggressive. But it turns out he, for some reason, had some information about Leos. Okay. So I mean, it very well may be. Um, how would Hank the Mason know about Leos? I'm not sure, but we'll get there. So in any case, so we go to Hank Quinn, and we asked him, right? So we said, okay, so we understand you know something about Leos. We need to put an end to him. So do you know anything, right? Any like object that would be particularly significant to him that we could possibly use? Because it just makes sense, right, to us that this is going to be something that will be helpful, right? So what kind of object would it be? Right, so it's '06. So dismantle 88, dismantle gear. Okay. So something that is used to dismantle gear. So I think it may make sense that this would be, um, I'm thinking like some kind of hammer or something like that, like a sledgehammer type of um thing. Why would this be important to a wizard? I don't know, but I think that that's it. So there is in fact a sledgehammer. So so Hank Quinn tells us that, fine, you know what? There's a sledgehammer. A sledgehammer that was important to this guy in life. I don't know what kind of magical rituals he did with it, but that is what the story is. There were there is some kind of sledgehammer. It's an important sledgehammer of Leos. Just had to write this down so that I remember what it is. Okay, so the hammer of Leos is what you need to find. That is going to be helpful to you. So are you going to help me get out of here? And I think it might make sense, right, for me to help him get out of here, actually. Right, so let's actually do that. So I'm going to try and persuade. Uh, so it's really quite simple, the argument here, and that is that we are willing to take um this guy. What was his name again? Hank. Yeah, we're willing to take Hank off of the Lord Riarden's hands, right? If he wants to free him, we will take him into our custody and do our best with him. But we'll take responsibility for him, and we'll be leaving town soon anyway. So, will you let him come with us? That's the question. Or with us, with me. There's only one of me. It's a 19. Sounds like a yes. Especially when you have, okay, he doesn't actually have any positive bonus on charisma, but hey, charisma zero is enough. Okay. Right. So yes. So yes. So like you want to take him out of my hair, you go right ahead. He's yours. So at this point, we now have a new companion Cyril has acquired, Hank Quinn, right, who is going to be accompanying him, who has a history as a mason. I'm curious to see when I roll him up what he's going to be like. We'll find out. But for now, this is Prof. E signing off.